Welcome back to the channel, beautiful people. I hope you've had a wonderful week so far. Today, I have for you my Game Week 9 team selection, and it's going to be different to what you thought, because not only will I be showing you the transfer I've made, even though I said I was going to roll, I'll now have to show you my transfer plans from that transfer route and discuss things from there. It's a transfer I'm really excited to make. I'm really happy with the analysis on it. I think I found something quite niche to exploit, which you are going to see and hear about. So I look forward to explaining it. As you can see, we've got off to a brilliant start to this season. If you would like to cash in on the luck, if you would like to cash in on the analysis that's got us there and being able to help us make some bold calls, then make sure to subscribe. Comment any questions you have below, including the ones for tomorrow's video where you want your problem solved, or I might even upload that tonight. And nothing else needs to be said, so let's hop into the video. In goal, just like we've had all season, we've got Matt Sels, and what a blessing it is to have him. I think potentially the highest upside, highest seeding keeper in the game. Forest, so good in so many instances defensively, but one thing they are going to do is concede a decent enough shot volume from mid to low level XG shots, whereby Sels can accumulate saves and thereby points and thereby a haul, but they're not too good of chances, hence why I said low to mid level XG, whereby it's going to decrease the clean sheet likelihood significantly. So delighted to own him. And something I was considering, right? Initially, the plan was to remove him in 15, 14. I think it goes good fixtures, Arsenal in 12 away, Ipswich at home, and then City away, United, Villa. But what I was thinking is City, United, Villa, all chances to get a haul. And after that, there's a couple more, and then it becomes okay again. All chances to get a haul. I'll have value accumulated in. And is United and Villa that bad? I think it's like United away, Villa at home, which is the better way round in terms of the pairing. And I think, especially if they're in good form, maybe I just keep him, right? Because I could move to whoever the other 4.5 budget is at the time, but it's a nice way to go against the template, and it's someone who's shown his worth. Not necessarily do we always need to prioritize fixtures, obviously very, very frequently. But I think with assets like this, whereby actually their upside lies in the slightly worse fixtures, it could definitely be something to consider. For example, I don't think I'm going to get a haul at Southampton at home, or I might, but it's unlikely. Whereas something like Brighton away, okay, there's a haul there. I know he obviously needed 2 goals there, but you get the point. And then to be fair, Brighton didn't even make that much second half. More so just the 2 good finishes. So I think there's a lot of upside to be had in just holding Sels, and I might genuinely just keep him all the way throughout. Obviously, I'll be looking at wildcarding, and let's actually have that discussion now. I wasn't going to, it wasn't the plan, but considering we're on my team, the initial plan for the season was buy 3 Arsenal, don't wildcard in Game Week 6 because I don't like it, and then wildcard in Game Week 12 for the big fixture swing. However, I've just planned my team until Game Week 12, and it's so strong. Like, the team turns out so strong. I love it. I absolutely love it. And in terms of the fundamentals of all their assets, it's really strong. The structure's brilliant because it's a threemium. So I have exit routes to anyone and everyone. So do I need to wildcard in 12? No. I have no intention now of wildcarding in 12. Which begs the question, when am I going to do it? Because I've only got until Game Week 19, right? And if I'm not going to wildcard in 12, and I think the team's good there, would I wildcard in 13 or 14? No, probably not. So what I'm thinking is maybe like a 15, 16, 17, 18 wildcard on the assumption that something happens over the festive period. Or the second option, maybe I'll wildcard in 13 if an emergency comes up, so have it for there. And if not, I'll just delay it as late as possible. I'll wildcard in 19. And yeah, I see no problem with that, right? Because then I get to have the wildcard for a slightly shorter span in terms of when I'm going to use my next one. So I can be heavily aggressive with that. Look, there's so long to go till 19, right? Maybe an opportunity pops up and I will take it. Maybe an opportunity pops up next week and I'll take it. But for me, I'm really thinking, I doubt it's 13, 14. I don't think it'll also be 19. I think it'll be like 15, 16, 17, maybe 18, like in and around there, to maybe offset some of my expected minutes worries in the festive period as everyone becomes slightly more rotation prone. So I'm really looking forward to using that in a very different spot. I can't imagine the usage will be particularly high. And when I do so, it will be to either get out of a hole, but predominantly to make a team that is very high upside and somewhat differential within realistic means in terms of the fixtures and stuff. So that's where I'm at with Sels, and that's where I'm at with the wildcard. Now, I told you there was a transfer being made, and I imagined you guys didn't think it was in defense. Very, very routine in terms of my decision-making process this week. You've got Hall. He's away at Chelsea. I think he'll concede. Go to the bench. To be fair, for those of you who have Cole Palmer, we can touch on this. I think Chelsea may not be as free-flowing, fluid, and create as many chances as they usually have, because I do think that Eddie Howe is going to go man-to-man high, block all the circulation, and the word not coming to or supply into the pivot. That's it. And therefore stunt Chelsea's progression somewhat. And even when they do, I think they'll be very quick to transition back into a 5-4-1, 4-5-1. I think it'll be 5-4-1 though, considering it worked. Actually, no, maybe against Chelsea, 4-5-1 makes more sense. Just to block the middle a little bit more and be a bit more aggressive with the likes of Palmer, especially because he's going to drop outside of the block at times, and you want to just be able to not give him too much space and keep him a little bit further back. But anyway, it's not that relevant. Although it's slightly worse for Palmer owners. I would say that if you have Palmer, obviously a hold, I would tamper expectations slightly. I don't think it's the greatest fixture in the world with the tactical flexibility that Eddie Howe has shown, and therefore I wouldn't be captaining him in a lot of spots. And we're going to move on to captaincy. Gabriel, I mean, I'm never benching the biggest box threat in the league at home. Do I think Liverpool score? Yeah, as you'll find out when I come to talk about Salah. But what to do there? Konsa, Bournemouth home. Underrated in terms of the fact that, like, from 12, it's actually pretty decent. It's like Palace at home. It's a 4 on an FDR. And then it's like Brentford at home, Southampton at home. It's something like that. It's pretty good. So even if I have to hold him beyond 12, I'm quite happy to do so. The issue with this team, as you'll see, the transfer plans lies in the fact that in 10 and 11, this third defender spot's a bit meh. Like, I'll have to play either one of Konsa or Hall. And the thing is, sure, on the FDR, Hall has a green fixture in 11, but it's Forest and I have Sels. So am I really going to get a 0-0 out of that? Probably not. But you never know. Hopefully. So that is something with this team that's probably the weak point. And it's been a weak point for a while. I've been trying to make a defensive transfer, an additional defensive transfer to sort it out, but I've had opportunities elsewhere. Thus, I haven't been able to do anything. Nagvadio, just some analysis on him. He should start, just given the fact that he was benched midweek. I wouldn't be buying him because I think, okay, sure, this fixture's good, but you've probably already got Gabriel. I'm still not certain that this is the best structure. I wonder if his expected minutes could be down a little bit and he could get the odd benching with Ake coming back if they ever want to go like Lewis play in the pockets and then Ake to clamp whoever's down that flank. He could do it once, right? He could do it once. He could rest Gvardiol. And I just think when you know you're not going to get someone like Gabriel who's going to get rested, it makes sense to not relinquish Gvardiol, but just forego him as a result. And I think the structure, especially when you look at 12, just works way better with one premium defender. So that's my 2 pence on him. I wouldn't be bringing him in. In terms of holding, he might actually be a really long-term hold if he's going to continue to generate attacking returns. And then people will be like, oh, but then you should bring him in. But I just think in terms of the opportunity cost, when you look elsewhere, it's not significantly high in the defense because you can get attacking returns elsewhere. Example, Ryan Aïnouri. Example, Pinnock, who's got a good fixture in the next 5 as well. And the cash can be used elsewhere and it's beneficial. So that is what I would say on the defenders. But now let's move on to my transfer in the midfield. Now, I said I was going to roll. And then I said if I wasn't, it was probably going to be DCL to Cunha. But I have not done that. I've sold Antoine Semenyo. Well, I haven't sold him yet. I'm going to do it on Friday. I'll probably just do it while I'm streaming. And I have in his place Dwight McNeil, someone I've talked up in recent weeks, someone I've been trying to own for a long time. And now he's here. And you know what? He might not be going for a very long time. Let's speak about him at the end, though, out of the midfielders, because he requires the most spotlight. And we'll save the best or last, right? The newcomer will make him feel at home. Foden, I'm not 100% sure he's going to start. And honestly, a start feels like a bit of a win. I think in the middle, there's only 3 people competing for those 8 slots, and that's Silva, Gundo, and Foden. Now, he seems quite happy to play Silva and Gundo in the middle. Obviously, Foden played in the middle, but Cover didn't play, and Cover will definitely play Southampton. I'm almost sure of that. And it's like, okay, fine. Maybe he'll get the nod against Southampton because it is Southampton, and he'll bench Gundo, and I hope he does because he's been pretty poor so far. But then, is he going to start Bournemouth? I think it's a really good fixture for Foden. But I don't know if Pep's head is just that looking to be more control-orientated without De Bruyne and Rodri there. And he's looking to go for a bit more defensive now and a little bit more physicality and height in Gundo. Or Foden really just hasn't been there, as he said, mentally and physically. Yeah, he's been a bit tired. His body hasn't quite been there. But now he says he feels better. And I'm not sure if that's the reason that he's being benched or if it's more so Pep's just like, I'm playing Gundo for all the reasons I just said. I'm going to hope that it's Southampton at home. He's just scored. I know he played the whole game, but just give him the run, because if you're not going to play him here, then like, when are you going to play him, right? When is he allowed to get back into the rhythm? So I really hope he plays Foden. If he doesn't, you know what? So be it. I can't do anything about that. But the thing is, I see it as very much two extremes. If he doesn't start, then he's an automatic sell. Well, maybe not for my team, but in general, he's an automatic sell, because the fixture run for other premiums is decent, and you're gonna hope to capitalize there. But if he does start, and he does well, I think he'll start the next game. And I think Southampton at home, Bournemouth away, Brighton at home, Brighton away is really well tailored for Phil Foden to get some goals. And that's why it's the battle of two extremes. Because if he starts, oh, you've got an asset. At 9.2 million, this type of player, this type of goal-orientated player, playing in behind Haaland, oh, you're in the money there. But if he doesn't, obviously, like, it's 9.2 million down the drain pretty much, right? May as well just play Harry Winks, so at least you get better expected minutes. So, yeah, it's whether you would like to take the gamble for those who are non-owners. I'm going to think about it a little bit more, and then I will create his own section in solving your problems. Rodgers, I mean, this guy is just the best value. He's 5'4" now, but I picked him up at 5, so that's what I'm going to consider him as. The fixture run is largely irrelevant to me, because it's never that bad for that number of weeks where I'm going to drop him. He's playing a second striker role I should have gone Salah than Rodgers for a reason. Anyway, he's playing a second striker role where he's receiving in really good central areas, and he's full of quality. There's so many things to talk about him. Yeah, if you have him, why would you have him? Just top. I wouldn't try and get too fancy with this. If you've picked him up at 5 and the value's so good, I would not try and get too fancy by relinquishing him, even though I did tell someone to sell him on Wildcard. That was last week, and that was a slightly different spot. Salah, okay. I haven't obviously got the vice captain, the captain's armband here, and one of them will be going in midfield. Now, you would be thinking that it's a straight Haaland captain, don't overcomplicate it, blah, 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 blah. But I don't think it is. I'm not massively in love with it. I like it a lot for Haaland, but I like it a lot for Salah, and I like it a lot more than most people. I think if he's got Calafiori one-on-one, he can do him. I've seen Calafiori be done twice now, one by Savini on the inside, one by Hakimi on the outside, and whilst he's a brilliant defender, he's still, I think, going to take some time to adjust to the league a little bit. And he's going to be wandering into midfield to an extent. He'll probably go more defensive in this game, Arteta, with this setup. But he'll wander into midfield to an extent. On transition, especially, I know he'll have Gabriel to deal with, but he'll be in a wide centre-back channel. And you know what? If you can isolate him, if you can isolate anyone in the world, he's got a chance. He's got a real good chance, most of hurting you. And then one-on-one with Calafiori, I think you can do him. If Zinchenko plays there, again, on transition, because he'll definitely come inside. But the other thing is, one-on-one, he can rip him, and we've seen it so many times in the past. Okay, I also think that what I've seen from Slot is really good for this game in particular. I don't think he'll do the whole heavy metal rock and roll type of football that Klopp did at the Emirates, and just generally. I think he'll be more than happy to play a bit slower. You'll have a variety of tactical solutions to this Arsenal pragmatism and defensive first mindset, and I think Liverpool will actually keep a decent amount of the ball. And with the players like Núñez, Salah, and Trent in particular, for a variety of reasons, and you've also got Gravenberch and McAllister in the middle, which is a big deal. I think Liverpool can create chances and they can hurt Arsenal. And I think Salah will be instrumental to that, because there is no better big 6 game player than this guy. 4:30 on a Sunday, that is his slot. That is his slot. On Sky Sports, that is his slot to take the throne. So I'm quite bullish on him. I'm genuinely very tempted. I'm not even just saying this. I'm genuinely very tempted to go there. Because the thing with Haaland for me is I wouldn't be surprised to see somewhat spread of output and that be relinquished to Foden, which is why I was thinking about him early in the week. And I think Southampton would have now learned their lesson that you cannot play like this against the big sides. I watched the extended highlights against Arsenal last night, and there was just so many situations where they get turned over in midfield, and they were a little bit too aggressive in their approach, and they leave their backline isolated. And if you do that against City, they'll get you. Arsenal got you in the end, but you were lucky not to get gotten in the first half. City will get you. So I do think the spread out could be there to an extent whereby I have enough downside protection. It won't be the end of the world. People are thinking of triple captaining him. Of course, I strongly disagree with it, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. And then, all right, let's talk about McNeil and why I'm so happy bringing him in. I had an inkling to go and watch because I was going to roll, right? So it wasn't really that relevant. But I had an inkling to go and watch the Fulham Aston Villa extended highlights because I was like, maybe I'll take out DCL. And what I realized is, and I had this feeling because of their lineup, Fulham are very susceptible to that number 10 type of player. Having a midfield of Pereira and Smith Rowe. Well, Smith Rowe is not great in terms of tracking back and just covering a lot of space, which means Pereira has to do quite a bit. And he's not the most defensively minded player anyway, right? And it's like, okay, fine, he's got a lot of energy and got a decent engine on him. And he's aggressive in the duel, but his quality of dueling isn't probably the best. And his understanding of when to duel and anticipating space. And that whole defensive side of the game isn't the best. And you can't blame him. He's traditionally been brought up as a 10, right? So to just have Sander Berg and those two isn't great defensive protection. And it allows, given the system and the personnel selection within certain roles, for your number 10 to find a lot of space in between those two players and in between the lines. And I saw Rodgers, who was a second striker, have a lot of joy and find brilliant pockets, brilliant instances that hurt Fulham. Look at his goal. Look at the chance he missed. Look at the pass for Watkins. There was another time he received between the lines in the second half, and I was like, okay. Then I go and watch McNeil in his new role against Ipswich, and he's picking up some really good positions. And just in front of the defensive line, not pulling too deep all the time that I expected. I thought he dropped deeper, but he wasn't to pull the strings. The pivot was comfortable in terms of its progression. Breaking line passes were pretty good. Putting it into him was fine. He's got the technical quality. I've known this for years. I've liked him for years. A player who's deceptively strong as well, more than capable of in functioning in these pockets. And I'm like, okay, if Fulham are going to offer this and he's good in those spots, this is an opportunity. Then you consider that the guy who is going to hurt Fulham as well is the striker, just with the way they play, because they got a 4-2-3-1, right? So it's kind of harder to try and flank. You really want to be going through the middle. And I'm like, okay, fine. DCL's been missing quite a few chances, but Southampton away next week. I pair him with McNeil. I maximize my upside. It's a nice tactical matchup as well. I'm thinking, okay, I could be in business here. And so for me, it just makes a lot of sense to go with McNeil. Another thing, DCL's a big aerial threat. McNeil's on all set pieces from both sides, I'm pretty sure. There's so many avenues to points. He's 5.8. The fixture run extends for ages, and we'll talk about this in the transfer plans. But there's a lot of upside to McNeil here. Both the matchups, on his side and on Fulham's side, they work. And for me, that's it. That's enough. I'm sold, and he will be coming into the side. So this is one route and the most likely route on the assumption. Well, I am bringing McNeil into the side this week. Obviously, you've got Game Week 10, where I'm looking to roll. The team's pretty strong. Sure, I could go and get a Wolves player, but this is the week that Everton have Southampton. Sure, I could go and get Ryan Knight-Nori, but as you will see here, I like the defensive transfer be used down the line, so I can fund Cole Palmer. Game Week 11, I don't even have to do Calvert-Lewin to Cunha. Yes, they've got Southampton at home, but what if DCL's in absolutely red-hot form all of a sudden? West Ham, brilliant. And then it's like, I think he's got Wolves as well, and then Brentford. The fixture room's really good until like 14. So do I need to sell him? Probably not. I also get to keep 0.6 cash then as well, right? And that will help down the line, because then maybe I won't have to be so tight for cash when we're making the two moves below. So that's just a potential move. And look, it's a high upside move, but if I don't make it, it'll be for all the right reasons. So that's great. And then in Game Week 12, selling Foden, I'm absolutely fine with, and I'll go and get Cole Palmer. And then I'll have Salah, Palmer, Haaland, Havertz as well, Cunha, Rodgers, and McNeil. That is gone. That is absolutely gone. The only thing that I don't like about it is I'll have to sell a huge defensive goal threat, especially with this new theory about defenders in Gvardiol. But I'll get Ait-Nouri. He's got a lot of upside. He'll have good fixtures, and it's good fixtures for a while, and he fits into the theory as well. And the team will be so strong. I mean, to have a team of Havertz, Haaland, Cunha, Salah, Saka, Rodgers, McNeil, Gabriel, Ait-Nouri, Konso, who's got a good run from 12, and Sels. Why would I wildcard, right? So that's the plan. I could always just not sell DCL and then roll again in 11. And then maybe I could find an alternative solution to raising the capital to go for Foden to Palmer. Maybe I'm interested in selling Havertz and I get the money out of him that way. And I go Havertz to Cunha, right? I don't think because he has Forest as well. So he's blocking my sales clean sheet. I don't love it because I like Arsenal's fixtures after 12. I don't think 12 is that great, but I think after that, for Havertz in particular, for the attackers in particular, Saka and Havertz, but mainly the German, it's quite good. So that's my transfer plans as of now. I am delighted with it. This is the best I've felt in terms of the planning stage for the team in a while. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this week. Now, I thought I would just show the captaincy here. I do have it on Erling Haaland currently. It's just, as you can imagine, it's pretty difficult to convince myself to actually go against Haaland in a week like this, as much as I'd like to. This isn't locked. Genuinely, and I'm not even just saying this genuinely isn't locked, right? There is a chance I go Salah. There's also a chance I go Foden, but I'm not sure I will, given the expected minutes worries or the worry of the start. And we're not going to get elite because it's Friday deadline. So yeah, there's all the obvious positives of Haaland. I just wonder if Southampton could do what every other side has done. Pretty much go to a back five, block him really low, and be like, okay, fine, pass us to death. One thing I noticed against Arsenal is when you do pass against them, they are a bit more susceptible to that block moving a bit more than you'd like and finding pockets. But to be honest, I think Foden could be one to exploit those a bit more, and maybe even the Savio on the right, if he's allowed to come inside and find a pocket, or you know what, even the fullbacks, like the right back and the left back, getting in those pockets, them two and Foden and maybe a bit of Silva, I think they could hurt Southampton if they do a good job at mitigating Haaland. And it's why I'm actually interested in going to one of the midfielders. What a differential, right? Especially in weeks people are going to triple captain. DCL, I've obviously spoken about. Okay, fine, his finishing hasn't been there, but he's been getting all the chances. Just let it ride for the next 2 weeks and we'll see what happens. It works well in terms of my team. Havertz, honestly, I had the vice captaincy on Havertz at some point this week. I think this is a good fixture for him. Obviously, back at home again, where the record's been so good. I don't know why Trossard took that penalty midweek. I know he won it, but still, or sort of won it. I imagine they'll just go back to Havertz now if Saka isn't there, but I expect him to be. And I would not be selling him. I know people are talking about, I'll talk about this in solving problems, but I would not be selling him. And that is about it. The team looks strong. I'm really, really happy with it. I'm really looking forward to 5:30 on Saturday. Everton Fulham. I'm not sure I would have ever said that. As mentioned, the rank is superb at the moment. I hope you have been enjoying the videos. Make sure to subscribe. I'm so happy with the growth at the moment, and I shall see you for solving your problems.